That's right. For more on the president's trip through Asia, let's bring in our fair and balanced panel. Democratic strategist Blake Rutherford and executive director of the America Rising PAC, Alexandra Smith. Both of you, thank you for joining us. I do want to get down to some of these tweets, but first and foremost, I want to start with you, Alexandra, just get reaction from the president's trip and then obviously get Blake's reaction as well. So far.
Of course. So, I think that the president's two main goals on this trip were to iron out trade agreements and also to deal escalating North Korea situation. What I think is really interesting is that the president came into this trip with a very hardline position on trade. I think what's interesting about that is that that means that he's able to come to the table with something to offer to all of these Asian nations who he hopes will be partners in de-escalating that North Korea situation. We've already seen that a little bit with China, that he's able to sort of give a little bit to get a little bit. So I think that it was interesting that he brought his populist message on trade and is now sort of trading that in the negotiation process over North Korea.
Okay, so you would say productive, and Blake, I want to get your reaction. I'm curious to see what you think.
Sure. I think it's been an incredibly confusing trip. I think that the president during the campaign talked about that his primary goal was to be very strong on trade. He wanted to impose a tariff on China, a bad idea for lots of reasons. He's gone to China and we're not really sure what he accomplished there. And then he managed to sidetrack himself, of course, by pledging allegiance to Vladimir Putin and then criticizing Kim Jong-un for his appearance. The president really has had a confusing trip. I'm not entirely sure what American diplomacy has been advanced while he's been abroad.
Okay, so obviously two very different perspectives, but you brought up Russia, so I sort of want to segue to one of the tweets that we saw this morning, and it reads in part, when will all the haters and fools out there realize that having a good relationship with Russia is a good thing, not a bad thing? They're always playing politics. Bad for our country. I want to solve North Korea, Syria, Ukraine terrorism, and Russia can help greatly. So I assume you're going to have different perspectives here, because the second half of that tweet where he says, listen, we can be productive, we can move forward with this relationship. I want to start with you, Alexandra. Do you feel that way?
Well, I mean, look, I think that it's without a doubt that Russia did interfere in the elections. That being I think we have important investigators looking into how much they did interfere. We have Robert Mueller looking at it from the administration side. We have Republican-led congressional committees that are also looking into this. I think that, though, without a doubt, if you look at who keeps bringing Russia to the forefront of the conversation, it's the Democratic Party. Whether it's Donna Brazil's book or it's Tom Steyer going on television talking about impeachment, they're all looking for a boogeyman. And really, I mean, I think that this comes down to the fact that Hillary Clinton didn't lose the election because of Russia. She lost the election because she was quite possibly one of the worst presidential candidates in the history of our country. And so I think that, Democrats really keep bringing this to the forefront when important investigations are going on alongside of it to ensure that this kind of attack doesn't happen again.
All right, Blake, I want to give you the final word because the president has had an opportunity to clarify his comments, and he has said that he backs our intelligence agencies, something that he has repeated in the last 24 hours. So what's your take on this? Because we're still talking about it.
Well, right, and we're talking about it because the president tweeted about it. This isn't something that the Democrats brought up on his trip abroad. The president's tweet indicated that the intelligence community were political hacks. He since clarified his statement to the extent he even agrees with that second statement. But his administration doesn't really believe that Russia meddled in this election. And for a president who's very committed to America first, I don't understand how aligning yourself with Vladimir Putin is a demonstration of that America first strategy. John McCain was critical of it, and Sally Yates was critical of it. Two voices I think we'd be well served to listen to.
So you wanted to see him be more critical, and I'll get both of your takes on this. Did you feel as if he gave the Russian President Vladimir Putin a pass on this trip, or do you think he handled it correctly? And I assume you both will have very different answers.
If you're asking me, Liz, of course he gave Putin to pass. I mean, the only thing that President Trump has done is to ask President Putin if he meddled. President Putin says no, and Trump says, well, I believe him, despite what our intelligence community, the entire intelligence community, has said about this. So certainly he's not holding President Putin or Russia accountable by any means.
Okay, Alexandra, I'll give you the last word.
I mean, I think that we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Certainly, there are a number of different investigations that are looking into this and informing the president about what did and didn't happen in the course of the election. And we can also see that, the president is looking for allies in de-escalating the situation in North Korea. Relationships are complicated, and especially foreign relationships. And so I think that the president is looking for allies where he needs them, but also looking to hold people accountable where they ought to be held accountable.
Right. Alexandra, Blake, thank you both for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks.